Hi everybody, Nigel with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. As you can see behind me here, we have this beautiful brand new Pocher Porsche 917K in 1/8 scale, and what a beauty it is. I'm very fortunate in that Pocher have sent me one, so thank you very much for that. And the kit is soon to be released. Currently today it is September the 12th 2024. I have been sworn to secrecy, so I'm allowed to do a review of the kit, and I'm allowed to do any other videos related to the model itself, but I'm not allowed to do any build videos. So here we are, 12th of September. I believe the kit is now imminent, although I have heard a rumour it has been slightly delayed. So I don't know when that's going to be. But as I say, today is September the 12th. I think the due date, according to the brand new Pocher forum, if you want to get over there and have a look, I've put a few entries in there as well. Then I'll put a link to it down below. When I went onto it, it sort of said already registered on Hornby, go in here, and there was no way to sort of join. Right, you can only sign in. I have emailed them. Maybe they've sorted it out by now, I don't know. But what you need to do is go back in into Hornby and go in their forum and register there on the main Hornby page. And then once you register with Hornby, you can register on the Pocher site with the same details. So yeah, it's a brand new forum, so obviously there's going to be niggles, but there doesn't seem to be anything there, or there wasn't the other day, anything there for you to allow you to actually get in and sort of sign up rather than sign in. So as I say, just go back to the Hornby site and have a look there. I'll put some links down in the video below. There's also a link in the comments, not the comments, the description below here. If you want to find out more about this kit, or indeed go and order one, pre-order one, go and use that link. And if you use that link, it lets Hornby know. Hornby is the owner of Pocher, by the way. It lets Hornby know how much traffic I'm giving them. So if you use that link, then it makes them more likely to send me more kits, so you get to see them. So that's the way it works. So there we go. So this video is basically going to be for the newer modelers out there, and it's going to be, I did the same thing when I did the Lamborghini. It's going to be about the tools I'm using, how I store the parts, getting myself organised basically and ready to make a start on this beautiful kit. A lot of small parts are all just in bags and stuff, so you want to get them sorted out in trays and everything. We also, as you know, I'm an ex-Rolls-Royce aerospace engineer. I like to do things properly if I can, and I like to tap threads. I've always said, you know, if you went to B&Q and bought an 8mm or an M8 bolt and an M8 nut, and the nut had no thread in it, you would take it back. Whereas with these kits, you're expected to turn, you know, an M3 screw into a hole that's got no thread in it. So I like to cut a thread first. But there are the downsides. There's obviously massive upsides, but there are downsides to it, which I'm going to cover in this video as well, and how to get around those. And basically, just getting ready to make a start. Obviously, I'm not going to start the kit because I'm not allowed to. I'm not making videos in the background, so that, you know, at the end of the day I can go, here it is, there you go, beautiful, isn't it? And you haven't even got yours yet. What I want to do is start the build with you guys, and then we can all comment at the same time, you know, on the same themes on the forum, rather than me, you know, going on there and saying, you know, oh, just to let you know, in stage 3 of the instructions, part 2A is wrong. You know, it's like, yeah, I've got one and you haven't. I don't want to do that. So there we are. So sit back, get a cup of coffee, beer, lemonade, Coke, whatever, and enjoy. And if you are a well-seasoned modeler or something, there's probably nothing in here for you. But if you are new to the hobby, or, you know, new to this, I know that some of you have ordered this, and it's going to be like one of your first ever sort of metal build kits. So there might be some information for you in there. So as I say, sit back, enjoy. See you at the end. Okay, so here we are at the bench. Let's make a start. As I say, we're going to cover tools, equipment, stuff that I use, glues, and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to stick around and get yourself prepared, ready for when your kit arrives, then please feel free to do so. So the first thing we want to do is familiarise ourselves with the model and have a good look through the instructions. Now, these are the original instructions I got that I printed out. that they sent me to show you. If you remember, I did a review, so that's why they're separate A4 sheets rather than the manual that comes in the kit. The reason I'm using this is so I can draw on it and make notes and stuff, and find something to draw with, hadn't I? So basically familiarize yourself with the model. Yeah, do that with these logos here, and make sure you understand exactly what they are. The WD is water decal, cable is TU, just think of tube, and here they're telling you to cement. Now the term cement is not strictly correct, and I'll cover that when we look at glues and everything. Assembly order, so we can see assembly phase, assembly order. So assembly phase is in the instructions. Look at that, I pick up 2 pages that have got no assembly phase drawing on them. Here we go, number 3. So this is number 3, so that's stage 3, that's phase 3 of the build. Assembly order is, here we go, you can see here, they're telling you to do this first, okay, then do this, then attach that, and then attach the injector last. That's what they're telling you to do. Have a good look at it, have a good think about it, and sort of, you know, have a little think about what you want to do, and how you want to go about doing things, and if you want to go painting stuff, get yourself ready. I will be painting everything, okay? A lot of this kit has been taken off the sprues and pre-painted beautifully. If there's no need to repaint it, I won't, because some of it is absolutely gorgeous. But I have noticed when I did my reviews, there's a couple of parts where they've removed them from the sprues, and we can still see a bit of a sprue gate, which I will want to clean up. Now it may be that sprue gate is hidden. It could be an oil tank that goes up against the bulkhead and you're not going to see the sprue gate. I won't worry about it then. But if it is going to show, I will go around and I will repaint stuff. I will also be doing a lot of detail painting, like oil line fittings and stuff like that. So you will get to see all that come together. So yeah, without going off, so you've got here assembled group. So as you can see here, this is A -7, so they're telling you this is the assembled group number 7, which you would have built at another stage. So hang on, or are they telling you this is going to be number 7? I think that's what they're telling you. Yes, they are. They're telling you this is going to be number 7. So there you go, there's number 7. So you're going to put all that together like that, and now that's become number 7. So it's sort of not that clear. Sometimes these Pocher instructions can be a little unclear, and I think we could benefit from more of sort of seeing where things go, because sometimes you will get parts placed. I can't see anything at the moment, but I remember, for example, if you watch my Lamborghini, there was a pipe that came off the top of the engine. They were showing that it goes into the airbox, and I couldn't for the life of me work out where it went until I built the airbox, and then I could see. So sometimes you just have to look and look again and look again. I can't see anything that's a little bit dodgy here. It's like these here, these shields here, they're telling you those go on the back of those cylinder sleeves. But how does it go on? You can see it here fitted, but I'm assuming there's going to be a little step in there. It would be nice if they showed us, you know, in a separate drawing, and they've got here the hazard warning. Okay, pay attention. So why have we got to pay attention? This is the sort of thing, and that's why my videos will help you, because if I mess up, then you will see how I mess up and you won't do the same thing. But why do we need to pay attention to that? Don't know. It's got the drop sign there, which is cement, which I said is a bit ambiguous. Sometimes you'll see that and it'll be metal parts. Well, you can't glue plastic to a metal part. For example, I think this is metal, isn't it? I think these cylinders are metal. DCA 16, I think they're die-cast metal. So, you know, you're going to have to super glue that. It's telling you cement. It's not cement, it's super glue. You can't, that's die-cast as well. So you're going to have to use super glue. It's metal to metal. So, you know, so that's why I'm on about familiarising yourself with the build before you start, you know, otherwise you might get unstuck. We will be covering glues in a minute. Obviously decals you're going to put in with water, warm water. Sprue numbers, that's sort of here. So let's find a plastic part. Plastic parts here, F2, there you go, there's plastic parts there, F2, and H27. A lot of this gearbox, I remember, is die cast. I think that's what they mean. Die cast A 13, die cast B 9. They're not on frets, they're just individual parts. So you're going to need a lot of room to spread all the boxes out to find all your bits. But what I'll be doing is go to the, I keep the box in the hallway just outside the room. I go to the box, get all the parts I need, get all the sprues I need, bring it to the bench, and then work on it as if it's a kit on its own. So I treat that as a kit and have all the parts next to be ready to go. They're also on here, they got screw F equals 2, screw J equals 2. So they're telling you in the bottom right hand corner of each sheet what equipment you're going to need, which is good. So that's your sprue number. Okay, so that's going to be your plastic parts. And then your part numbers, like here, it's not necessarily a sprue. You can see here DCC 3, that's die-cast C3. B3 is plastic. That's going to be a plastic sprue, letter B. Now remember, a lot of these parts have been taken off, pre-painted, so they'll be taken off the sprue, but they'll be in the bag with those parts. Okay, with that sprue, should I say. So that's about it really. But here we've got the screw. So this is, when I originally saw this, I thought this was going to be like a Phillips screw and a flathead screw, a slotted screw, but it's not. This is a pin and this is a screw. So this is showing screw A. You can see all your different size screws here. We'll cover more of that in a minute. And then we've got the pin here next to that pin. So we've got pin, pin, pin. So we've got 3 different size pins, and we've got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15 different size screws. Okay, these here, M6 by 35, they are for actually mounting the model into its stand. So don't worry about those if you're not buying the box for it to go in. We will have a look and see if the chassis is capable of supporting the weight of the car. I do know if you've got the Pocher Testarossa, you need to put some blocks underneath because the suspension will sag over time. Ask me how I know. The Lamborghini appears to be very, very strong. Mine's been sat for over a month now on its wheels and it's absolutely fine. It's certainly a lot stronger than the Ferrari Testarossa was. But you do get, I've still got them here, you can screw those into the bottom of the model if you want to, and it will sit on them and that will help support, take the weight off the suspension. I've got them there in case I need them. So going back to the screws here, now obviously we've got PM, PB, PM, 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 PM. So yeah, PM is going to be a metal screw, okay, and then PB is going to be a plastic screw. So I don't know what the B stands for. Plastic? I don't know. I was trying to think. I paused the camera just now. I was trying to think what B could stand for, and I can't think for the life of me what it stands for. But basically, yeah, you've got PM, which is a metal screw, and PB, which we'll look at the difference of those in a minute. So you can see we've got all our different sizes here. So we've got 1.5, 2.3, there's another 1.5, 1.5, 2. So we've got 1.5, 2.3, and 2. And that is it. 1.5, 2.3, and 2. Don't worry about the M6 because you're not going to need that unless you've got the case. So basically, the first thing I want to talk about is the thread cutting aspect. Now, as you all know, when you get the parts, I've got this Lamborghini because I had to get a replacement because I messed this one up. But basically what you've got here, you've got holes in there which aren't tapped. There's no thread cut in them at all. So you just basically graunch the screw in. Now, if you've watched Moss's build, he gets quite, if you have got youngsters, be cautious watching Moss's build because he gets a bit sweary in it, because he gets quite frustrated. But some of the screws are very, very difficult to go in. So I like to cut threads in them first. There is a downside. You can get this. Okay? You can see that bulge on there. There's another one there. And I'm going to show you now how that happens. So basically with tapping threads, we use something called a tap. So we have taps and dies. Dies are for cutting a thread. So if this was a shaft, I could cut a thread on here with a die. If I have a hole or I want to drill a hole, I can drill a hole and then tap the thread in that hole with a tap. Okay, so we'll put the drills to one side for a second. So these are what are called taps. So this is an M2.3 and this is an M1.5. So you can see there's 2 of the taps I need. I'm going to put the light on. It might go a bit funny with the instructions in the background. I think what we'll do is move the instructions to one side, like so we don't get so much of a glare. Okay, so So basically you can buy these taps individually. If you're in the UK, a company I suggest is a company called Rotor Grip on eBay. They're very, very good, and they have all the different sizes. Now, you can also get these sets. Be very careful how much you pay for these sets, because they can be quite expensive. You'll see these for £5, and you'll see them for £35. But this is basically a tap and die set. You can see here we have the taps in there, okay, and then we have the dies here. Okay, ignore these are for using that tap wrench, which is horrible. I'd rather use a pin device, which I'll cover in a second. So here we have all our taps, and as you can see, we only have 2 taps. So in here we have a first and second tap. Now I know that I have been asked the question, Daryl's asked me the question, which one should I get? Because you get first, second, third, or you'll get taper, second, bottoming. Okay, I would recommend for your model kits always go for second. I'll try and show you on here with these biggest ones because it's easier to show you the bigger they are. Okay, so with this one here, this is a taper tap. Okay, this one here is a taper tap, and as you can see on the end it has no threads. Okay, and that is designed so if you've drilled a hole in a piece of aluminium or something, okay, then you want that tap to go into that hole and line itself up and stay true and straight and everything. So the end doesn't do any cutting. The end is like a guide that guides it down into that hole, and it keeps the tap square. Okay, if you try and use a bottoming tap straight away, now this is pretty much a bottoming tap. Okay, that will cut threads almost right to the bottom of the bore if it's a blind hole. If it's a through hole, if you're just tapping, say I drilled a hole in this piece of plastic and I wanted to put a hole through, just use the first tap. Go through that deep, and you don't need a bottoming tap. But basically, if you use a bottoming tap straight away, you'll find it very difficult to start because it's trying to cut a thread as soon as you start. So I would always go for the second tap, because the taper tap, as you can see, on something like this with a very shallow hole, I mean, nothing's happening. It's bottoming out before it even starts cutting. Okay, that tap is actually too big for that hole. But basically, that's what will happen. You're at the bottom of the hole before you've even got any threads cut. If you try and use a bottoming tap, it's very difficult to keep it lined up true and everything, even if it does go straight in. So always go for the second tap. Okay, that's my recommendation. Now this one here, this is the M1.5. This is the second tap. So you can see it's sort of in between those I've just shown you. You have a small amount of uncut thread on the end, but not very much. You can also see on here, this one has a point. This one doesn't. I've ground the end off of this so that it's pretty much flat on the end. And the reason I've done that is to stop this happening, okay? I'm going to show you how I did that. So this is M1.8. Okay, so here we go. So one of them here, you can see I've ground the end, and even though I ground the end, I still managed to make a mark. Now this one here, this is the first tap, and what I'm going to do is get my pin vise. Now I recommend pin vices for taps rather than using the tap wrench. The reason being is when the tap gets to the bottom of the hole, it will spin in the pin vise, and you won't break anything. With a tap wrench, it's easy to bottom out and snap because these are very brittle. So I'm going to show you here what I did. So this tap here has the point still. Okay, so I haven't ground that point off. The only reason the point is there is for manufacture. They put it into a female center. Now you can see what's happening here. Because this is a first tap, it won't even start. Yeah, I can't even start with that one because it's the first tap. So it's the taper tap. So I'm going to use this one. Okay, now this will go in and this will engage. It's not working there, but it'll work on this one. You can see there, I'm pushing that tap. Okay, and that's basically making a right mess of my model. So be very, very careful on shallow holes where it's coming into something like this. In future, I'm not going to tap these holes. What I did, I got another one. Hornby kindly sent me another one, and I didn't tap the holes, I just put the screws in. In fact, I think I did. I just went in like 1 or 2 turns just to give the screw something to start with, so as not to put this big dent in the top. I'll show you on this one as well. I'll show you how easy it is to damage it. Okay, light finger pressure, and you can see there I've put a great big mark in it, so be very, very careful if you are tapping. Also, when you're putting your screws in, screw the screw in and keep an eye, and if you start to see something move, stop. Grind something off the end of the screw, use a shorter screw, whatever. So what I do here, I've got this, I'll put that back in its box. So I'm only going to use, that's what I was saying, this tap set, by all means go and buy yourself one, but the only tap you're going to use from here is the M2. The rest of them aren't needed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out my M2 tap. Okay, look at these. And one of them will be like a bottoming tap, and one of them will be, I think one is like a, actually this is probably the best one to use. This is almost like, these are very cheaply made and they're not extremely good quality. This is far better quality. This is much better quality than this. Okay. And this one I believe is Dormer. No, it's not. My 2.6 is Dormer. So what I'm going to do is take this 2mm tap and grind the end off. So you can see at the moment it has a sharp point on there. I've got a wheel in my little Dremel tool, and I'm just going to literally make sure you wear safety glasses when you do this. Okay, that's all that's needed. Just get rid of that point. Okay, so just put a flat on the end. It does two things. One, it allows you to get deeper into the hole if it is a blind hole. And two, it prevents damage from that point on the end. As I say, the only reason that point is there is when it's ground, they use female centers. So normally, as you know, a center will be like this, a point on the end. This is a female center, so it sits in a female front and back, and then they can grind it. And that's the only reason it's there. If you get taps and it's worn out, they make great center punches, but they can be quite brittle, so be very careful. But that's that one done. So that is like a second tap, and that is more like a taper tap, the other one. So there we go. So I can also do the same with this one. This is my little M1.5. Just come along. And get rid of that point. And that way it won't cause any damage when it goes in. Okay, what I am going to do is just go around, just lightly sharp because it had some sharp edges on there. Right, so there we go. So that's our tap side of things sorted out. You can see on here I've got a list of holes and the various sizes that need to be drilled. So I don't have M1.5 on here, but I've got M1.4 and 1.6. So 1.1 drill is going to be fine for a 1.5. This is if the tap is extremely tight going in. Just check your hole size and drill them out accordingly. Now for drills, I would thoroughly recommend these. These are the microbox drills. I would not at all recommend these things. These are the ones you get. I'll show you the biggest ones so it's easy to see. These are the ones you see all the time on Amazon. As you can see, it's got a very coarse helix on it. Okay, you can see on here the flute. The flute is where the groove is where the cutting is done. Okay, or it's where the swarf is taken away. You can see on this one is very, very coarse. In fact, what we'll do, we'll look at equal size drills so you can see the difference. That's a 1.2. Okay, you can see on this one, this is what to avoid with your drills. You can see this has an extremely steep flute. Okay, it's like a finer thread than that one, if you like. It's the best way to explain it, I think. what these tend to do, they tend to screw themselves in, whereas this will cut its way in. And what I find is with these, they screw themselves in, and then especially with the smaller sizes, they snap off when you get to the end, especially in plastic. So I wouldn't recommend these to my worst enemy, but I do recommend these entirely. Let's just move that over there a minute, out of the way. Recommend these entirely. These are the micro box drills, but beware, if you see them advertised and they're less than like £10 or $15 or something, be very careful, because there are so many rip-offs of these. For example, here's one here. This is a rip-off. Okay, looks exactly the same, doesn't it? The box looks exactly the same. They're titanium coated. Yeah, great, and they're only £3. The trouble is, the sizes are awful, and the drills are just awful. They don't cut, they're blunt, and they're all over the place. You know, you get like 3.4 drills instead of a 0.3, a 0.35 and a 0.4. You get 3.4 drills in them. Whereas with these, microbox written in capital letters in the light blue or grey box, they're lovely. This is 0.3 to 1.6. Okay, thoroughly recommend those. As I say, for the taps, use a pin vise, don't use a tap wrench. I will cover, in my first video where I do tapping, I will cover tapping and how I go about it and everything. But if you've seen my Mustang build or my Lancaster build, or you've seen the Lamborghini build, you'll see I've covered it all a million times in there. For a pin vise, I thoroughly recommend this. This is the David Union 150, available from Premium Hobbies in the UK. Absolutely brilliant. The beauty of this is, when you look at these things, okay, these are the cheap ones you can buy in places like Hobbycraft and everything, and it's got a collet in it, which is wonderful. So I've got a 2mm drill there. Okay, now I want to use a 1.2mm drill. Okay, I've got another hole I've got to drill. Oh, so I need to change the collet, right? So I'll take the collet out, and is that the right size there? I'm not sure if that's the right size or not. Let's have a look. Is it the right size? As luck would have it, yes it is. Okay, but generally what you find is it's not the right size. So let's just say I wanted to go to a, let's just set up a bit of acting for you here. Let's just say I wanted to drill a 0.7mm hole. That collet is too big, so I've got to take that collet out of there. Okay, and then I'm going to take another collet out of the back end here, and I think that one's right. So we'll put that back on there. We'll put that one on there. We'll put this collet back in here. We'll put this collet back in there. We'll put the end on like that. We'll put the nose in, and then I'll tighten that down a bit. And will that be the right one? There we go. So I can put my 0.7 drill in there. I can tighten that up, and there we go. I can use that drill now. Okay, so once I've done that, I want to go back to a 1. I've used a 0.7 as a pilot. I want to go back to a 1.2. Yeah, you guessed it. I've got to change it all over again. It's an absolute bloody nightmare. It's a right pain. So I would go for one of these, the David Union 150, and this is the D150. It has a range of 0.3 to 5mm. So you can see here, if I got this 0.7 drill, so let's just say I'm going to start drilling with a small drill first. Okay, there's my 0.7. So now I'm going to go up to a 1.2, say. Alright, so as you know, I'd have to change the collet in the other one. So open that up, go to a 1.2, do some drilling. And now I'm going to go up to a 2mm. Just open it up. And there we go. And then from there, I want to go to a, I'm going to put a nice radius in this hole. So I'm going to use this 3mm burr. So I can put that in there. There you go. So I've gone all the way from 0.7 to 3mm. I haven't had to bother changing collets or anything. Now these, what I do with them, I keep this one because I use this 3mm burr a lot. So I leave that one with that set in it. And the other one, I leave with a 2mm drill in it because I know then when I need a 2mm drill, that's there when I need it. So I'm going to change those collets over after I've done the video. I keep this in its box to keep it all nicely protected. The other thing that's really nice about this end is almost like it's running on silk. These things, you can hear it, it's all a bit clattery and stuff. This is gorgeous. So you can get that in your palm and line it up and everything. Absolutely fantastic tool, one of the best tools I own. And I love it. As I say, you get that from Premium Hobbies in the UK, and there you go. This little stone, by the way, that I've got in this tool I got on Amazon. It's called a Galax Pro. You might want to get yourself one. Handy little thing to have. I don't tend to use them for drilling. I only tend to use them for grinding and stuff. But it's a great little tool. You recharge it via the USB of your computer, and they're cheap as chips, and they come with these little boxes of stuff. And here's a box of stuff here. You can see that's where I got the stone from. And they've got these little sanding wheels and polishing wheels and all this, that and the other. Absolutely great for what they cost. They're brilliant, and that's where that's come from. So you can get yourself one of those on Amazon, wherever you are in the world, cheap as chips. And then what I do here with this box of horrible drills, I tend to use that as my storage facility for my taps. So I know that's a 2.3. I know that's a 1.5. So there we go. Those in there. This is a 3. And this is a 2.6. But I won't need those for this model. You need those for the Lamborghini. Right. So I've covered the tap wrench things. I've covered the screw things. Now, other tools for removing plastic parts from their sprues. We will need some cutters. Okay, these are the Tamiya cutters. I love these. They're absolutely brilliant. You can get two different types. You get the fine point and the ordinary. Okay, now the fine point, as you can see, they look a bit longer. They're just slimmer. You can see they have a much shallower angle. So these are much stronger and less likely to be damaged than these. Okay, so just get the ordinary ones. They're absolutely brilliant for what they cost. You can get real cheap, cheerful ones. These are some of the Dave Coley ones. He will sometimes send you these free with a kit. They're very, very popular. These pressed metal ones, you'll see lots of them for sale. All different manufacturers, all sorts of different shops. They're okay for 1 or 2 kits, but if you're going to get into modelling, I would seriously, invest. These are about £25–30 in the UK. You can get them cheaper abroad. So if you're going abroad, have a look when you're there. Or if you know anybody who's going off to Japan, get them to get you a couple of sets. But you can see here, these have been chipped on the teeth. They're easy to chip. These are very, very old, actually. So there you go. Some cutters. Thoroughly recommend Tamiya. They're absolutely brilliant. Pliers. Get yourself some small pliers. They're often handy for if you need to squeeze pins into something, or there could be a place where it's very difficult to get to a screw, so you may use a pair of pliers. You may want to bend some wire or something. Really, really handy. Try and get the ones with smooth bores. There's some others I've got here, and that you can see they have smooth bores. They're also good for bending photo etch if you need to. But they're very, very nice, and they're very, very handy. Definitely worth having. The other thing to get yourself, while I'm in that drawer, get yourself a nice pair of scissors for cutting out your decals. I tend to use smaller ones, but these are ones I bought for bigger decals, and just use them for decals. Okay, don't go cutting your decals out with a knife. I've covered that in many videos. Always use scissors. Tweezers, obviously tweezers for smaller parts, very much recommended. You can get the fine point ones here. Here are the Dave Coley ones again. You can buy these in a set. These are the 2 tweezers I tend to use for everything. There are also the Anise tweezers here, which are absolutely brilliant for very, very small stuff. I don't think you're going to need something that small on a Pocher model because of the size of the bloody things. But, these are the little Tamiya ones, I believe. No, these are the Japanese company, Haikyuu. That's what they are. And these are just the Dave Coley ones, which you can get on a set. Okay, there's his shop there. He's got a fantastic model shop, very good prices, reasonable postage too. So there you go. So there's tweezers. Screwdrivers. I bought this set on Amazon purely because I wanted the larger handles. A lot of people suggest getting smaller screwdrivers like this sort of thing. Okay, this is a little flat one, or stuff like this, this is okay. It's got a bigger handle on it, but a lot of people use the small precision screwdrivers and end up with blisters. I like to have these bigger handles. If you're not graunching it, you're not fitting a door hinge, but you can use that in your fingertips, especially if you've cut your threads. You can wind that in and you can feel when it stops. Whereas with the smaller ones, you're struggling to grip, and before you know it, you snap something or gone too tight or whatever. So I like to use this. As I say, this is a set. It comes with a magnetizer and demagnetizer, which is very handy for picking up stuff. And the only 2 I've ever used on my Pocher models are these 2. So this is a 4x75mm. So the way they're sizing these is the diameter of the shaft and the length of the shaft, and this one will be a 3x75. Okay, it's actually, I think it's a Phillips O and a Phillips 1, I think they are. Don't take my word for that, but I think that's what they are. You can see also this material gets grubby quite quickly, so you need to clean them down again with some IPA or something. But there we go, that's my little set of screwdrivers that I use. As I say, you've got all the other ones in there are going to be handy for out in the garage and around the house and stuff. So yeah, they've got dimensions in there, but they don't mention the Phillips sizes. On the Amazon page, they're actually in sizes. Please don't ask me for the Amazon link, because I don't know, I can't find them again. Somebody asked me before, and I looked at my previous purchases, and at the time they weren't available. So, but get yourself a set of screwdrivers or a couple of nice screwdrivers with decent rubber handles, so you don't end up with blisters like Moss did. Right, knives. I use these. Okay, so I always use, this is a Swan Morton scalpel, and this is a number 10, and this is a 10A. That's the only two blades I ever use for all of my modelling. You don't need anything else as far as I'm concerned, and they're absolutely awesome. You can buy blades in packs of 100 for about 10 or 12 pounds, and they're brilliant. I use these generally for scraping and for doing photo etch and stuff like that, and then this is for general modelling. But very, very good. I love these scalpel handles because they don't roll away. You've got the old X-Acto handles, and they'll roll off the bench and stuff. And sometimes, because I bite my nails, sometimes they're a little bit difficult to pick up. But what you can do is just put some tape around them or something. They still won't roll away as long as you don't put tape around the whole thing. But that's the ones I like to use. The only downside to these, you have to be careful if you're scraping heavy and stuff. They will easily snap. Okay, so be very, very careful when you're scraping in that. And they don't take much pressure. If you want to start really, hacking into stuff with a big knife, then you might want to think about a different method. So there you go. Saws, if you need them. This is the ASK symmetrical saw, so it has a lovely resin grippy handle and very fine teeth. You can see I've been using that for cutting stuff. But these are the artscale.eu. This is the ArtScale saw. Very nice indeed. You will also find other brands like this one here. This is the JLC Libor Pocher, again from the Czech Republic. Basically the same sort of thing, razor blade size blades with fine and coarse teeth in them. But I find the ASK blades are a lot harder to snap. Those Libor blades tend to be quite brittle, so bear that in mind. Always keep your broken blades, always handy for getting into tight corners and stuff. And I also have here, as you can see, an old blade glued to a lump of plastic, and that way then if I want to get in and slice, say I've got a raised lump on the dashboard of something, I want to slice it off, I can get in there and just slide that in and slice it off, which is great. So that's basically it for tools as such. Consumables, sanding sticks are a must. Now these are from Premium Hobbies, and this is the set. You can get this set from Infini. I think it's about 60 or 70 pounds, but get back up off your floor. It's well worth it because they last a very, very long time. These are called zebra sticks. Okay, these are absolutely lovely, and they're very hard, and they're good for sanding square things where you need, like a pair of engine halves going together. You need something flat and square. If you use something soft like this, you'll put radiuses in all the corners. So you can get these in a set with the box. The box won't be blue, it'll be grey. And then you also get these here, which are the fine ones. I always call them matadors, but it's not actually the correct name. But they are very, very good indeed. And then these are the soft sponges. These are very, very nice. These I've been using, I'm sat in my bench pretty much every day of the year, including Christmas Day. And I use these every day, and these are over a year old. These are probably getting on for 2 or 3 months old, and I haven't even used those three. So yeah, and then these go from 400 to 7,000. These go from 100 to 800, and these go from 800 or 600. I can't remember now. 600. Sorry, no, they go from 200 or 220 Yeah, 220, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1500, 2500, 4000, and this one's for polishing. That'll polish marks out of your clear parts and stuff if you've got a scratch. So well worth having, well worth the investment. They last a very long time. What you will notice with them, they tend to wear down very quickly. Now this is a 400 grit, and that is probably worn down now to something like a 600 or an 800, but it stays there. So if you do get them, don't be disappointed that you use them for 10 minutes and they start to wear out. They sort of wear down to a level and stay there. So it's very strange. This 800 has been used, and that is almost like a polishing stick now. But it'll just stay like that forever. I've got some here. These are over a year old. I mean, there's the 600, and it's still, you know, it's still a sanding stick. I can still use it. That's why I keep it. They're absolutely brilliant for polishing and stuff, or just removing marks without leaving any sanding marks behind. So there we go. So that's pretty much it for consumables, unless you want to count blades as consumables. Glues, I recommend these. These are the Tamiya extra thins. You've got the quick setting, the normal, and this is the Tamiya white cement. This is, if you're only going to buy one, that's the one I recommend, the Tamiya extra thin in the green bottle with the darker green lid. This stuff is great because it dries quickly, but it's very, very hot. It has more acetone in it, and it dries too quickly, especially for a warm climate. So I recommend this one. This one is very good for if you've got two big parts going together, because if you want to put the cement on first, when you put the cement on with extra thin, by the time you get to this side, the other side's dry, so you're going to be constantly going. Whereas with this stuff, it stays wet for a lot longer. So for gluing wing halves together or something, that's great. I know you're not going to be doing that in your Pocher model, but you know, with this stud, you can hold the wings together and let capillary action pull the glue in. Now for super glues, I only ever use now VMS. I don't use anything else. This is VMS Flexi 5K CA, and this is the black thin, which I use a lot. You'll know if you watch my channel. And this is the Flexi 5K C8 for PE. Now this is clear, and this one is obviously black. The beauty with these super glues, we all know that the biggest problem with super glues is they go off. They go off very, very quickly once you've opened them, and they just, you know, your thin turns into a thick glue that takes forever to dry. This one here was manufactured on the 23rd of July 2022. So this bottle is over 2 years old. I haven't made a mark on it when I opened it, unless I've made a mark and I've rubbed it off. But you can see here, I opened this one on the 11th 22. Okay, and this was made in February 22. So this is 2.5 years old. I've had it open for nearly 2 years. And I can show you now. This is the other thing to get. Pringles lids. If you like Pringles, keep the lids. They're brilliant for putting your super glue in. And you can dispense that on there. Just like that. You can see that's absolutely fine. There's a drop there. And it's nice and thin. It's not gone all gloopy. It's wonderful stuff. Generally, super glues, once it's been open 6 months, it's finished. Thoroughly recommend these products. They are absolutely amazing. If you're only going to buy two, get those two, black thin and 4PE. There's another one I use sometimes, you'll see me use, which is called XT Thin, I think it's called. Is it called XT Thin? Yes, it's called XT Thin. And you can hear it's like water. Now that was made on the 10th of February 22. You find me a bottle of super glue that was made on the 10th of February 22 and it's still like that, you know, and it's been kept in a drawer. Yes, they've been stored in the dark, but they haven't been kept hot, cold or anything. So, you know, and they don't clog up either. They're just the best super glue. There is no other glue now in my mind. That's it. It's okay. It's the same with dogs. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one dog, a fox terrier. Anyway, right, so there we go. So get yourself a Pringles lid for putting your super glue on. As you can see here, what you can do once you've got it all used and everything, you can just come along with a knife and just flick it all off, okay, and then you can use it again. So I tend to have one for the black, one for the clear, and then when they get too badly used, just throw them away and get another one. It's a good excuse to get yourself some more Pringles. So there we are. And also for applications, I use this here. This is called a glue looper. As you will see, it's all clogged up. It's got dried glue on the end of it. Okay, so you can see that's how they end up looking once you've used them. But it's a fantastic tool because what you can do is just burn the end with a cigarette lighter. Once again, you can see we've got the glue looper bit back. Now that is closed up, so what I can do here is just take a knife and just open it up, and you can see what it is. It's a gap between two prongs, and the glue gets attracted in there, and then as soon as you put it onto your model, it pulls it out. You also see me use knives to apply super glue. I'm not sure you will on this one, but you will on other builds that I do. So there we go. So that's the glue side of things. Now when we go through the build, I will show you what I use the extra thin on and what I use the super glue on. Wherever I can, I will use extra thin. Like for example, in the first stage, I know these pieces here are plastic, okay? And I'm going to glue these together and then sand the joint and then repaint them and everything. You may wish to just put them together and leave them as they are. That's absolutely fine. But I want to get them de-seamed and then paint them to look like fiberglass. They're plastic. I will use extra thin. I will not use super glue. So you can see here they're telling us to, we've got the cement symbol there, we've got the cement symbol there, we've got the cement symbol there. Well, I can tell you now, this is metal. So cement, this stuff, that will not work on that or attaching that to that. All right. You're going to have super glue for attaching that to that and for attaching that to that. The same here, I believe. Now these two parts here are plastic, so you can glue those together, but when you come to glue that on, you're going to have to use super glue. Okay, so this is what I'm saying about these instructions being ambiguous. I don't know what they're referring to with the glue there, if it's all three or if it's just that, or I don't know. I would also have thought you'd have to glue that starter motor in, but they haven't got a glue symbol there. So there we are. That's going to be attached with a screw. Okay, and that's going to be attached with a screw. So we've got two J's there, and then we've got two F's here holding the casings together, and I'm going to glue that rear cover on. So cement, glue, that'll be my terminology. Glue, cement, okay? So there we go. Now as far as, that's it basically for consumables. Sanding sticks and glue. You're obviously going to need a little dish of water and stuff. Anything else that we use throughout the build I will cover as we get there, but I'm just doing a video now with all the basics so that you don't have to be asking all the time what I actually use. You might want to get yourself some clothes pegs. You know, there's the plastic clothes pegs here. You can get wooden clothes pegs and reverse them like this, makes them stronger. And then you can also get these clamps here. These are from Rebel Hobby in Sweden. I get asked all the time what these are, and they're Rebel Hobby clamps from Sweden, and they basically, you get them and you just squeeze them together like that, okay, and they lock and hold the parts together, and that's it. All right, so that's cool. So you might want to get yourself some clamps to hold stuff together, rubber bands, stuff like that. All sort of, to me, quite obvious, which is why I'd sort of missed them out. Because this is what happens when you know what you're doing. You just take on this sort of mindset that everybody else does as well. So there we go. Okay, so as far as setting yourself up for the build, if you go into your top box, the cardboard box within your Pocher, there is a large bag here of bits. Now, come on, I can never open these bloody things. Right. So basically, if you go through your build and keep everything in that bag, all right, first step, you need some screws. So you need 2 F's and 2 J's. So you're going to go through here. Some metal pipes there. Where's the F's and the J's? Oh, there's another bag here with screws in. Right, okay. That's cool. Right, we've got another bag here with screws in. So I'll go in here. I've got to find my F's and my J's, the A's. Oh, there's the F's. So I want 2 of those. Where's the J's? Where's the J's? That's I. That's pins there. Screw J. Here we go. Screw J. Right. So I want 2 of those. So I'll get 2 of those out. I'll get 2 of those out, and then we'll put it all back in the bag and then do all the same. The best thing to do is get yourself a couple of these little boxes. Again, you get these on Amazon. I'm not going to give you a link because you can go and find them yourself. There's millions of them. Okay, and probably when I got these, the prices changed, and they're all in competition with each other, and they're all exactly the same thing. You can tell from looking at the pictures, they're all the same thing. They're just cheap plastic boxes. What I would recommend is get them with the removable inserts. So if you've got some longer parts, you can keep them in there. Okay, they're not going to last forever because it's got this plastic hinge on the back. It's not actually a hinge, it's just the plastic bending on itself. Okay, so and these came in pairs. You'll see me use them on the Lamborghini. So what I've got here, this box here has all the screws. These are all the labels from the Lamborghini, so I don't need to take the labels off these bags. So what I can do now is just take these bags. Okay, so there's screw H. So I can take these bags and I can empty them into here, and there is H there, so I can empty those screws into there, and there is my box of screws. So I no longer have to go searching through bags and stuff. So what I'm going to do now is get all those screws into here, and then I'll come back. Okay, there we go. So those are our screws. So as you can see now, I went through that fiasco just now. If I turn the page, right, I want 2 screws Fs and 2 screw Js. So get my magnetic screwdriver in there. We'll take 2 off. There's 2 Fs. And there's 2 Js. How much easier is that? Close the box up, shut the lid, put the box, get on with my build. That's how good it is. Okay. What is coincidence is the actual screws for the Lamborghini went A to N, and the screws for this one go A to N. Now they're not all the same, so don't for a minute think that Lamborghini screw A is the same as this one. They're not. They're all different. When I said earlier about the different types of screws, we got PM and PB. So you can see here screw A. In fact, I'm going to use screw G because it's bigger. Okay, so it's easier to show you. Screw G is a PM. So you can see that's a metal screw. It has a thread on it. Okay, a fine thread like a bolt, like a threaded bolt, say. Whereas if we look at this one here, screw L. Now this is a 2.3 by 4 PB. You can see that's a thread more like a self-tapping screw. So that will be going into plastic. The others will be going into metal. Okay. So wherever you get the metal screws, you really want to be tapping your threads. So then all of this stuff here, you can leave all this in bags. I mean, for example, that little plaque there, you're probably going to want to leave that in a bag. We've got exhaust pipes here. We've got some red tubing. We've got some brackets here. Now, we can leave all that in bags if you want to, or you can place that. There's these 2 big M6 bolts, screw O. We're not going to use those. We'll leave those in their bag. And then we've got BR1. That's part of the steering. Obviously, there's some seat belt material there. So what we can do is put all this in alphabetical order in our other box. And what we can do is take the labels off. Okay, now I got a feeling... I have a feeling that this is going to be... It's got DL1, DL2. Okay, so I might be able to get these labels off. Right, if not, where's my knife? I might be able to peel these off. If not, what we'll do is we'll just cut the bag, get some double-sided tape and glue it on. But sometimes you can actually get these to come off. It depends how well they've been put on. Yeah, that one doesn't want to come off of there. So what I'm going to do is take this part out of the bag, put it into there, and then what I can do is come along here, cut this out of the bag, just like so. Okay, and I can either just put that in the box with it, right, or I can glue it to the back with some double-sided tape. To be quite honest with you, having it in the back like that, in the box with it, is absolutely fine, especially when it's just one part. Yeah, that one doesn't want to come off either, so what we'll do is we'll cut that out of there, just like so. And then we can put that in the box with the part, just like that. Okay, and we'll do the same for everything else. We've got these tiny little pins. We've got seatbelt material and everything, so we'll do all that. We'll get all that in that box. There we go. So we've got all of our ancillary parts in there. We've got all of our screws in there. The tubing and the seat belts I've kept in their bags. One, because I physically don't have anything big enough to put them in, and two, I was a bit concerned about having this seatbelt material in with any of this in case it's got any grease or anything on it. And also sometimes these silicone materials, when you put them next to each other, they can sort of, especially if you leave them for a couple of months, they can sort of react to each other. For example, if you're a fisherman, you'll know what I mean with some of your lures and stuff. You'll eat through the bottom of your plastic tackle box. So yeah, be wary of that. So what we can do with those parts, we can get the big bag that all of this came in. We can just put all of those into there, and we know we've got our bags there, and we'll get the tubing out as and when we need it. These two big bolts here I'm going to put in there anyway. In fact, we may screw them into the floor and have the body, actually the weight of the car, sat on those heads. So we shall see. But there we go. Right. So that is all of our ancillary parts together. Now this little badge here, what I've done here, we've got the exhaust pipes. I haven't put the EP1 label in there because I thought, if I don't know what an exhaust pipe is, I probably really shouldn't be building this model. Now that piece of photo etch is going to fit in there perfectly, so I think what I'll do is I'll put it face down. We'll get this piece here, BR1. Come here, and we'll put that in there face down. Fits in there, it's like it's absolutely made for it. Okay, so there we go, that's those parts in there. So that's everything. Right, in fact I'm going to take that out of there because it is slightly bowing. Oh, it'll be okay, it'll be fine. Right, so there we are. So that's all our parts. The one thing I would say to Pocher, if you're watching this, and I may even send Marcus an email, something I wish they would do is do like a parts list, maybe not for all the sprues, but certainly for this sort of thing, so that we know that we should have 2 SP4 springs, for instance, and we should have 2 SP2s. That way, before I start the build, I can identify that I've only got 1 spring, so I can get a spring in. The way it goes, this, unless you sit down and go right through the manual piece by piece, especially with things like screws, you won't know that, for instance, you haven't got enough screw C there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screw C's. If we need 6, if there was a list in here that said 6 off, then I would know I've got 2 short. So I can contact Hornby and say I'm 2 short on these screws. The way it is now, I won't know until I come to need them and I haven't got them, and then I have to stop the build and wait for the spare parts to come in. So that's one suggestion I would make to Hornby Pocher, is give us an itinerary list for what we should have in these bags. As I say, not necessarily all the sprues and all the die-cast parts and everything, but you know, perhaps this would be a good idea. I mean, by all means, yeah, you could give us an itinerary of sprues, but you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea. So there we go. So that's been my introductory video. As I say, I'm not doing any work on this building whatsoever because I've been asked not to, and I don't want to upset Pocher or Hornby, come for that matter. So so that's all I'm going to do. So until the kit is actually released, that is probably the last you're going to see of me. Some of you are probably going, yay, brilliant. Yeah, so keep your eyes posted. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe. If you've enjoyed this, give us a like. If you haven't, give us a dislike. And if you want to see this build come together, it'll be released like every Saturday night. The video will come out maybe every Friday night or something, I don't know. But it'll be the same every week, just like it was with the Lamborghini. And we'll do it stage by stage by stage. And I'll be aiming it at the lesser experienced modelers as well. So you can kind of... There's a hole in that bag, isn't there? Yes, there is. Look, there's a hole. So there's a hole in my bucket. So there we are. Right, so I'm going to go back to my iPhone now and have a little chat just for 2 minutes and say goodbye. So there you are. Hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it's a help. I'll put a link to this video in the forum, because in the forum there is a bit for getting started and tools and everything, so I think that will probably help some of you. And as I say, any questions, pop them down in the comments below the video, and I will do my best to answer them. And when you get your kit, then you could be all ready to go if you want to get all your tools and everything up together now. So hopefully I've covered everything. The only thing I haven't covered in this video is paint. I will generally use my Tamiya LP paints on this, unless I'm brush painting small details, which I generally use the Viejo range, or I'll use Tamiya XF paints with a retarder in them to make them a lot easier to brush paint. But I will cover that as we go through. What I wanted to do in this video was just cover the basic tools and how I store my parts and everything. And you know, as you can see, having these boxes with everything in is just a great way to store your parts, and it will fit back in the box with the rest of the kit, so you don't need to worry about losing them or anything. As I say, I would thoroughly recommend to keep these bagged up, keep these tubes bagged up, keep them separate, just in case. If any of you have built the Tamiya 1/12 scale Porsche 935, the Martini one, that comes with corrugated cooling ducts for the front brakes, and on mine they actually ate into the plastic of the body of the car, so couldn't believe it. Anyway, so I'll see you all soon. As I say, thank you for watching, hope you've enjoyed that. Get on over the forums, have a look, there's lots of pretty pictures and bits and pieces over there. I'm sure once this build starts it'll be going crazy on there. Certainly all my videos will be on there. So anyway, I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.